Hello and welcome to June. This is an opportunity for me to just provide some updates as we look at the past month and then also look at the months ahead. So a couple big things happening here in the city. I think the first one that's most important to talk about is the tragic shooting of Patrick Lyoya. So many of you may have heard that it was just a week ago that it was about a week and a half ago that the Michigan State Police finished their investigation. That investigative report was sent to Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker. And Chris Becker announced that he would be charging Officer Schur with second-degree murder. And so that happened last week. There was an arraignment the following day, and that process is now moving forward in the court system. Here at the city, we followed up with that, with the chief announcing he would move to the officer being suspended without pay with the intent to terminate. And then ultimately, because the city of Grand Rapids, all of our employees are civil service employees, there's a process in place before an employee is terminated. So the city manager began that process and then recently finalized the termination. So that's where we are in that case. I know some people have reached out to the city manager implying or thinking that he can somehow rearrest the officer. That is not the case. So myself, my colleagues on the commission, city manager, we have no role in the criminal case at this point. It really is a matter of the courts and the prosecutor. Here at the city, though, we have a lot of work to be done. We've been meeting with community leaders and meeting with members from our refugee community and Congolese community, and we recognize there's a lot of work to be done after this really tragic event, and we're committed to doing that. So over the next several months, we'll go from meeting in small groups to having larger gatherings where we'll be able to talk about what we need to do to move forward, to create changes that need to happen, to push forward with some of the reforms, potentially policy changes, practice training. So we'll be starting to embark on all of that work. We recognize there's a lot of work to be done and that we need to do it in partnership with community. So stay tuned and we'll let you know as those opportunities come up. A couple other things here at the city. We did finalize our budget, so that goes into effect July 1. A number of things within that budget I'm eager to see implemented. One is the addition of behavioral and mental health teams that will be able to do a co-response with our police department. We also shifted dollars from the police department into our Department of Public Oversight and Accountability. We made decisions about ARPA funds, so those are the federal funds that cities were given to help kind of come through the pandemic. A portion of those funds will go to revenue replacement, and then a portion will go to other priorities. One of them being the Affordable Housing Fund, another one being participatory budgeting. And then speaking of participatory budgeting, we have gotten through the process of accepting ideas. We have over 300 ideas that have been submitted. So now the next phase is that we'll be vetting those ideas. We're asking for community members to be delegates, participatory budgeting delegates, to help us work through those recommendations, identify which ones we want to bring forward to the community. And then this fall, September, we plan to give the community an opportunity to vote on those ideas, and then hopefully they will be brought to the City Commission, approved, and then ready for implementation within the next 6 months. So that's an exciting process. It's the first time we're doing it. Again, it's $2 million that we want to see invested in our neighborhoods and in community. Another way to support and invest in our community is if you have an idea, you can apply for neighborhood match funds. So that deadline for applications is open until June 30th. Again, these are smaller scale grants. The match doesn't have to be monetary, it can. But it can also be in-kind donations, it can be volunteer time. So if you have an idea of something you want to see in your neighborhood, please take a look at the neighborhood match funds and see if you could use those funds to make your idea come to life. Two more things. One, it's been a toasty week. We anticipate that the weather will continue to be hotter than usual for this time of year. So if you are struggling with the heat, please take advantage of cooling centers. There are cooling centers around town, around the city, but also around the county. So our Grand Rapids Public Library, the Kent District Library, Meltrotter, Degage, there's a number of churches that are opening up to provide a space for folks who need to cool down. So please, if you need help, reach out for help. And then last week, we were excited to cut the ribbon and celebrate the opening and the start of the solar array that was built out at the Lake Michigan Filtration Plant. So this is one of the priorities we have as we work to not just get to carbon neutral, but also to get to 100% renewable energy. So we built a large-scale solar array out at the Lake Michigan Filtration Plant. It'll generate about 10% of the energy needed for the plant on site, all from renewable sources. And it takes our city as a whole closer to that 100% goal. So with the solar array now fully operational, we'll be at about 41% of all of our energy coming from renewable sources. And then also in the long run, we save money. So it's about a $1.5 million savings over the course of a little over 20 years. So again, we can make decisions that are good for our planet, good for people, and good for our pocketbook. And so this is really a wonderful step forward. We still have more work to do. We know that climate change is a crisis and urgent, and we're doing everything we can internally here at City Hall to move forward with concrete things, concrete actions to meet our environmental sustainability goals. So with that, I hope you stay cool out there, but enjoy the sunshine. I keep telling people we can't complain when it's cold and complain when it's hot. So I hope you get out there and enjoy some of this weather and connect with family and friends as we enter these summer months. Thanks.